of the Certified Aesthetic Consultant Program and the Aesthetic Show and the Aesthetic Academy for many, many years, also with other multiple conferences. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Greg Washington.
Thank you. And Jay Shore is probably one of the best presenters in the whole darn industry and introducers. You always get a good feeling when you do that. This is a very, very unusual meeting because you're going to meet some of the top people, as you've met with Tim, in this industry to talk about the internet and social media. I'm doing something that I don't think has been done before in the years that I've been doing this. I'm going to talk about the cost, the money you spend with the money you spend with the consultants and advisors in this business. I want to kind of just, can you get my slides up? There we go. But I'm going to do it in the context of Google's running the show. How many people saw in the paper yesterday that Google now will render another result the best answer? In other words, they'll give you the best answer to your question, and then there'll be other answers below it. If you haven't figured out what's going on, Google is playing the mobile game. They're pushing results down further and further, so in fact, you are moving out of this organic iceberg of free advertising that you had. The consumers got more choices than they've ever had. And so really what's happening is getting very difficult to depend on organic search results, and that's one of our specialties. So I'm going to kind of give you the consequences of Google's game and program that's forcing you to reboot, as I said here, your practice. Now, what's that? What's a UVP? Can anyone tell me? Come on.
Unique value proposition.
It's a unique value proposition. Who said that? It's a unique value proposition. You get a free consultation on anything in your practice. And by the way, we're a full service organization. We were first an advertising agency, management consulting firm. It's been a lot of years we've been doing this, and as a team. And I think that's it. But it really says something because as I talk about our firm around the country, I got to really talk about our unique value proposition. You know what it is? It's the secret sauce. Now, that's something you kind of laugh about, but sauce originally is something that extends something and makes it go further. It's a better value. I think there's little hamburgers with that secret sauce line. Well, we've come up with 7 programs that follow one major activity that work all the time and produces big bucks. There are a lot of other programs you can do, but if you do these programs in a given sequence, in a given organization, you'll get a predictable result and a predictable return on your investment. Now that's my secret sauce team there. That's the core. There's 200 years of experience in that group of 15 people. That's our core group. That's not all the staff, that's our core group. 200 years, and there's 4 of us that have 100 of those years of actual W-2, in this agency experience. So what I'm saying is we've made all the mistakes. We've discovered what works and what doesn't work. We've discovered how much money it takes to not make money. We discovered how much money it takes to make money. You're looking at SEO specialists. You're looking at a couple of certified Google AdWords specialists, Bing specialists. You're looking at web developers, digital. They're digital specialists, and they're back with a lot of experience in marketing. It's going to be a checklist, so I'm going to put this QR code up if you want to take a picture of it. Tomorrow, this presentation will be on our YouTube channel, as you should have a YouTube channel. I'll talk about that. And you'll want to, when we have this checklist handy, you won't be asked for a email address or your name. You can simply go to that channel and it'll be there. There was a time when people paid us $30,000, $40,000 to put together a strategic marketing plan for the internet. The realities are, people don't spend that kind of money anymore. As a matter of fact, you can put together a strategic marketing plan that covers these 7 programs I'm talking about for really chump change, maybe $1,000 at most. And that'd probably be for a retreat, getting your staff together to really get that engagement that Tim was talking about, get that commitment. Well, if you look at those 7 programs, you're all familiar with them. It's like baking a cake. You know, it's flour, sugar, oil, you make a cake. but you got to put it there in the right order. You got to organize it right. You got to cook it right. So we're going to talk about organic search. There's still opportunity in organic search. We're going to talk about staff, because it's not going to happen without staff. That's secret sauce ingredient number 2. Actually, it should be number 1. Then there's email, and since it's been so well covered, I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on it, but I'll give you a checklist of things we want to be sure you do. Then I'm going to talk about the review site management issue. Then we're going to talk about AdWords, pay-per-click. It's a PPC game. If you think that you're going to escape Google's using AdWords, you're not. And then we'll talk about YouTube, and then we'll talk about social media, which I think is a time sponge. Not bad, but it's a time sponge. So let's kind of dive into it. You're going to spend $40,000 to $60,000 this year coming up in 2018 making things happen. Now, what hasn't been said, that I don't think has been said, is how do you spend $40,000 and not lose you lose everything? Okay. So, Jay, I don't mean to shame your program here, but I want to say you can put $40,000 to $60,000 on the table, and you can actually go backwards. You can actually lose money for spending that. I want to show you how to go forward. So, what is the results on investment? Not return, profit. I like that word, Jim. Profit. What's the profit on that money that you're going to? How do you make it? Well, it comes right down to, and I said results, not return, results. Well, if you're spending that kind of money, you're going to get a 10 to 15, if you use this secret sauce formula that we put together, and this sequence of programs, you're going to get a $500,000 to maybe $1 million return on investment. Money that you didn't make the previous year, money that you could have lost if you were blindsided and you didn't do the reboot. And by the way, when I talk about reboot, you're going to hear me talking about what reboot means in a minute. So, what we're saying is what? What do you think I'm saying about organic search? Can you give me can somebody give me an interpretation? Is it dead? Is organic dead? Is it live? Is it one of those precious assets that you have? Okay, well, let's talk about, we've got a strategy together. Let's talk about what it means in terms of maintenance. Here's your first tip. You're going to spend approximately $11,000 to $17,000 this year managing one website. Many of you have multiple websites. Our clients have multiple websites. There's some practices that have multiple doctors, but that's your baseline. And what are you getting for it? You get all those things that we call SEO, content, listings, links, backlinks, social media setup, concept. And you're going to also be getting your e-processing. That should be part of the deal, the distribution to segmented lists. I'm surprised about you, Jay. You kind of disappointed me. You probably haven't noticed that I'm a black guy. You said segregation. We don't use that word anymore. It's segmentation. Can you say, Jay, say segmentation. For a Jewish guy, I'm surprised that you did. Hey, my God. All right. There's a client on the other side of that screen that has the whole state of Kentucky. Top listings. Any city in Kentucky, he's top listing. Dr. Wallman, you probably heard his name, okay? Client. So you're going to get expert marketing direction, you're going to get quarterly reporting, and we benchmark and we baseline our practices performance. And every quarter they get a detail that they can understand, by the way, not a regurgitation of Google Analytics. Benchmark of this is what we've done for you, these are the results we've done for you today. So an agency that you're working with should do that for you. You should be able to get the staff training, the stuff that you'll see on that YouTube channel that I talked to you about, that go on every month. Based as a part of the deal. You should get social media calibration and connectivity as a part of it. Not social media performance per se, but all of those channels should be working properly. And you're going to invest $11,000 to $17,000 there. So write that down as your first investment that spreads that money out. It's a pretty good chunk, by the way. Okay. Reboot. How many of you have redesigned your website in the last 6 months? Okay, you probably escaped the bullet, but you probably are still going to need a reboot, a redesign, a relook. Because if you do it right, the website's going to be designed in such a way that it anticipates all of those e-blasts. It anticipates how you're using social media. It integrates into your SEO quota that you have. $7,000 to $12,000 on a reboot. Now you can say, I'm not going to spend $7,000 to $12,000. to Reboot, because I've already paid the agency and they've earned their keep. But if, again, we want to get that return on investment I've talked about, you're going to look at that. Staff, as I said, this is really where it all starts. And training staff is beyond the didactics of the marketing process. Training staff gets into motivation, putting fire back into the belly of those staff. Just because you said, oh, I've already trained them. You've got to go back every month and reconstitute that fire in the belly. You've got to make sure they understand who your competitor is. You've got to make sure they understand what technologies you're using and why you're better. They need to understand what your unique value proposition. You can't spend enough time putting that in their heads. Phone skills, you can't do enough of it. Monitoring, phone monitoring, recording those conversations, having prayer meetings on what you did say right, what you didn't say. You got to audit, you got to track. $4,000 to $5,000. Now, you're all smart people working with some pretty smart doctors. Because in addition to the money that I'm talking about spending, the training that's a part of the basic service package, you got to do things like this, and you got to go to other sessions where you can learn more things. E-Blast. Now, I'm not going to try to top what you did, Jim. I'm not going to do it. But I am going to give them a checklist. Okay, so let me talk about what we need to do. Define in every e-blast you do your unique value proposition. 2, make sure that you set your calendar of a blast out in November. This is the month to set your get all those happies he talked about, set them out in bed. You can go back and change them. Then you're going to make sure that you schedule multiple to specific audiences. Seals eat seal food, birds eat bird food. You don't give bird food to seals, okay? So make sure face patients are getting facial information, body patients are getting body information, people that are interested in a specific, hot, unique value proposition, that you send them specialists and do with everything that Tim said. Create a schedule. Segment, Jay, the list. Okay, I just want to make sure you understood that. Have a protocol for list management. How many of you have done those e-blasts out and it'll say didn't connect e-blast? What is the word they use when they say you send a blast out? Bounce. Bounce doesn't mean the email's bad, by the way. Bounce only says at that time you didn't connect. And you can go back and call the people up and actually rejuvenate and reconstitute that list and reconstitute many of those. Track results. And I mean track results by segment. Build your email landing page that you want to go to in the Reboot. Landing pages working independently is not what you need. You need to have a website that gives them the whole truth, that answers all the questions. How much does it cost? Who are you? What's the benefits? How much? And they want to see it on one page because people don't read pages on a website as a book. They read it as they want it all there in front of them. Now, why would you have a budget for e-blast if, in fact, I said that's part of the service fees you're paying? Because you may want some special art. You may want to do something special. So that's why I put some money on that. Next, I want to talk about, let's talk about reviews. Now, there's a variety of different kind of review systems going on out there, but review and list management, namespace management is a very critical issue. Ron Hartley, who we'll be hearing from shortly, has something called Smart Reviews. Very interesting system. It integrates into your electronic medical record system that really does a hell of a lot in terms of gathering. We have some things also that are very unique that will gather. And these people, here's a person in the middle, 500, almost 500 4- and 5-star reviews. How did he get that? Well, we have a proprietary system that actually gathers them, finds them on the website, make sure that the patients are enthusiastic about giving them to you. So here's your checklist. Online monitoring must have a system that will generate reviews, train your staff to solicit reviews, make sure that you're auto-placing those reviews in other places, repurposing them on your website. Make sure that there is an integration of those reviews into the text of the website. Make sure you have a microsite that accommodates and gathers all of those reviews and is searched and found independently of your website. Lock down your listings. You're going to budget about $3,000 to $4,000 a year for that. Pay per click, pay per pay is where it's at. If you're not participating in pay per click right now, if you don't have a certified Google and AdWords specialist on the team, and by the way, the right organization has all of that under one roof. because you got intramural competition for all these different intellectual specialties of marketing that are going to always try to get the other meat. And what you have basically is a cancellation of dollars that you spend. So the organization should be a one-stop shop for this particular process. I'm going to spend a little time on this, but I put that QR code up because I have a very well done video on our YouTube channel, no names required, no addresses required, that really covers all the ins and outs of pay-per-click. A must. Google expects you to be there. You're going to have to elbow yourself up in terms of priority if you want to participate. If you don't get onto it right now, it's something you don't do every day, you don't do every week. You have to understand that when you're using pay-per-click, it's cocaine. It works. It really does. It works. And once you get on it, you can't get off of it. Okay? So the realities are, you want to make damn sure that you're not cannibalizing what you're already getting through organic search. Next thing you want to realize is that, let's see, where's this thing here? Staff is trained. Now, closing pay-per-click services are different from your closing other leads. It requires a different mentality, a different type of tracking. Make sure you got your staff trained. Be sure you're looking at results in all levels. Conversions, cost per click, and there's interesting statistics that Google Analytics provides that gives you that. The person you're working with should be paid on time, not a percent of the budget you spend. There's a conflict of interest. If a client's paying me $15,000, has a $15,000 a month AdWord campaign, and I'm taking 10% of it, you think I'm going to give it up? So the realities are, our agency builds time, not a percent of the budget. Set costs that you're going to probably look at a set of costs to put things together, running $1,000, $2,000 one time to set all your campaigns up. Realize that campaign management should run somewhere between $500 to $700 per month, in addition to your regular fees if you're doing organic. Budget about $15,000 to $20,000 annually for the actual AdWord campaign, which could be both Google as well as Bing. YouTube. Now, all of you should have a YouTube, a video gallery on YouTube. All of you should. This client over here, you see on the side there? He's done one step better. In his video gallery, it's called Beauty Surgeons, it's a site. In his gallery, he has patients that are giving testimonials, and they're showing the before and after pictures in the videos. Took it to one level, all connected throughout the site. Great, Dr. Vera in Houston, Texas. ID patients that want to sell. All patients don't want to be on YouTube and talk about what they had done or in your videos. Make sure those videos are on YouTube now. It used to be on your server so you can get back those backlinks. Backlink from, first put it on YouTube, and then backlink to your website. And that backlink process, by the way, you're connecting to the most powerful web channel in the world on YouTube. Okay? Let your patrons know you want help. They'll help you. Use smart technology. You got phones, tablets, and so forth to basically take you to the next step. Post your videos throughout all of the options. Don't go to necessarily, and I don't mean to put anybody down, Real Self. Real Self is going to wind up basically selling you back leads that they took from you by winding up being one of those few organic search results that show up on mobile. Mobile is what's caused the world to be changed. Let's see what we got here. Repurpose, I think you understand that. You got a budget about, now I'm from Hollywood, the land of the vain, the named, the insane. I mean, we do all kind of crazy things where I come from. But you don't need to have a professional, as we used to have, Hollywood videographer as we would give our clients. Shaky camera, meaning something that looks kind of home done, that's credible. Believe it or not, that's credible, that's credibility. So you got a budget about to maintain a good video gallery about that sum of money. Let's go to social media. I call it a time sponge because it is. Now here's what I'm going to say quickly. How much time do we have? 2 minutes. 2 minutes? Here's a short version of a longer story. You got to do it. People want to deal with people that are popular and connected. You got to do it. Ron Harley's going to talk about why you got to do it. But the realities are, if you're going to spend that $40,000 to $60,000, do all those other things well first, and then allocate the rest of the money for social media. How much would you allocate? Make sure you got social media harmony. Make sure that you tied your SEO expectations to social media. Results management is going to be very important. Sales training your staff to close. By the way, the least efficient closure ratio has to do with social media. In other words, people coming from social media, they're the hardest to close. Obviously, the easiest to close is on pay-per-click because they're pre-qualifying themselves. Budget about $5,000 to $8,000. Both your staff time as well as your expert that's advising your staff. Have that in your schedule. So these are the decisions with regard to, you want to make with regard to budget to get the results you expect. Plan to spend about $1,000 for the strategy. Website reboot, can't say that. Reboot. You want to have at least that some of the money there. Staff sales training, we talked about that. So these are the things basically that will make up the budget for your secret sauce. Always works, always gets your results kind of thing to get that $500,000 I talked about. There again is that QR code. If you'd like to get this particular outline to take back to the office of your office staff, you can do it from there, and that's it. Okay, how to do it?
Okay, you did fine. As a moderator, I always have questions for the speaker, because the questions that I want to ask here is something that everybody usually wants to know. Now, for the purpose of the exam, and I have to qualify this all the time, Greg made a comment that your ROI is results on investment. That's great for his lecture. I want you to forget that now. All right, I really do. Because ROI, for the purpose of, and you're going to hear my financial lecture a little bit later, it is really your return on your investment. I really don't want you to get that question wrong on the exam. So I'm going to give you an answer already. ROI is your return on your investment. And we're going to explain that as I go through a conversion cascade, because all this is well and good when you do all your marketing and you bring your people in, but can you track it, and how do you know how to track it? So the question I have, you mentioned $11,000 to $17,000 on marketing. Well, when you're starting a practice and you may be somewhat underfunded, because not everybody has the financial means. Unfortunately, maybe sometimes you shouldn't really start a practice if you don't have the financial means to do it, because that's why you see a lot of practices open and closed. Should you spend it with a bolus of cash right up front, or spread it out? And sometimes when you spread it out, it's ineffective. You have to reach your target to let people know that you really exist. And we're going to hear about this in our next presenter. So I ask you, how do you spend that money?
That's a very good question. The recipe for a secret sauce will say, given a given level of competition, given a geographic opportunity where you get other exposure, it just depends. You might want to start spending most of the money in social media. But you're going to have a good website to start off with, because if their landing on the page is empty, future's coming, you got a problem. So it's a matter of just looking at your specific marketing problem and opportunity, and that's why the planning and strategy. If you look at this guy that's put the, what's his name, Elon Musk, he put a strategy. He's taken over the whole transportation business, by the way, batteries and everything, and he wasn't ever there, but he had a strategy. Look at Google, Larry, what's his name, Larry, he had a strategy. So it's a matter of having a specific strategy pre-thought through, and that's one of our specialties of our secret sauce.
Okay, is everybody aware that when you do your PPC, what you may pay for a keyword is not the same as your next door neighbor might pay for a keyword? There's a thing called a quality score. Would you like to comment on quality score? Can you comment so that everybody is aware that not every keyword is the same even in your own demographic?
Great question. Google says, and this is also in that particular video that's on our website, you'll see the top economists of Google, they want good results to happen when a person goes and searches for results. They're evaluating what advertisements you're doing. Getting back to your first question, if you have a limited amount of money and you've got your website together, a good place to start would be AdWords, because you do get good results. Google says, in summary, if your site's active, if you're converting, and if you're converting, your cost is cheaper. They call it a quality score. That's basically that.
What Greg is trying to explain is it's like a well-balanced scale. Until your site is organically listed and is able to be receiving results organically, you start out with your PPC, it might be a little bit higher so that it ranks you high, and as time goes on and you list organically a little higher, it might balance out. Now, there are people that might disagree. However, if you're not listed at all and you're nowhere to be found and you're not optimized, That's the only way that you're going to be able to have people to see you. One thing that Greg mentioned about training, and we talked about tracking, and we spoke about mystery shopping calls. I have a client here in the room, and one of the things about the mystery shopping, to see whether or not you're effectively capturing all the leads that you're bringing in, because you're spending all this money to attract the patients to come in, yet you're blowing it as soon as the phone rings because they're not effectively able to capture that lead. And I was having a discussion with the client, and he said to me, hold off on the mystery shopping program for a little bit. And I said, well, why? He said, because my staff member is insulted by the fact that you're calling and she says, I don't need to be shopped. Well, if it's handled improperly, you do need to be shopped. Real quick, can you make a comment about that? Bringing in all the leads and then it's not captured from the moment the phone rings. Because the idea is to get the phone to ring. And if we miss that up front, then we've blown it and we spend all this money for ineffective means. Can you comment on that?
We call it spending money to bring them in the front door and then marching out the back door. Best way to mystery shop, and this is kind of intuitive, is every time you start your new practice or an existing practice, you want to have a recorded phone process in place. You can mystery shop your own practice. I'm working with a client in Beverly Hills right now, and what we're doing is I'm having the hardest time trying to show him that he needs to listen to those calls and how his staff answers the phone and find out where the gaps are in terms of information. Make sure that he knows how many times that phone rings. Make sure he knows what happens on the weekend when a call comes in. Have a system whereby not only you're keeping the patients because they're being handled properly, but timely. Because when a person calls on an AdWord or an advertising campaign or any type of promotional program, and they even say, I'll call back, or I want to make an appointment, they continue shopping. And you got to stop them in the tracks. You got to have somebody walking around literally with a cell phone, having the calls transferred to that person to make sure you're closing everything. And by the way, when that person calls back from that walking out with the cell phone, if the person doesn't recognize the number they dial, they may not answer the call. So there's some other fixes that we could talk about later on, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Greg Washington.
This guy's good. I'm going to hire him because he answers my second question better than I could. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay.